Episode 52 is a follow up of episode 51. So I kindly request you to first listen to episode 51 to connect with our discussion in episode 52. Thank you and enjoy this episode. Yeah, you mentioned geology, so I'm just curious, little bit out of the topic. So I also pursued geology in my bachelor's, and my specialization in the geology subject was satellite remote sensing. So yeah, glad to meet an individual who also had interest previously in geology. But nevertheless, I think whatever complications or obstacles you might have faced, uh, somewhere I believe your work has inspired a lot of people. And see, like I'm sitting miles and miles away, and I got to know about you because I read about your work. So that already tells that you have half the way reached where you want to be. The rest of the path, I think, definitely you will scale up and inspire a lot of youngsters for sure in Pakistan and around the world as well. So yeah, proceeding ahead, this question is something very I would say not so critical and complex, but I would say it is the need of the hour. We shouldn't be treating this the current question that I'm going to ask you as a very nominal thing, because uh, I think Europe is the only currently a continent or a region where the space industry's workforce, more than 50% is the women participation. So, but I believe in the rest of the other countries, that's not the case at the moment. I'm not saying that, of course, it should be forced and the participation should increase. But, it happens naturally. It should happen naturally, the way I think it has happened in the European space sense and the European ecosystem at the moment. So, could you discuss any ongoing efforts to promote women's participation and leadership in Pakistan's space program?
Unfortunately, I don't think there is any such thing that would encourage women um, to participate more and to express themselves more within the space industry. But the existing programs and, as I mentioned, the private societies and clubs across the country, they encourage all the women um, to participate equally. Although most of them are male dominant, but whenever I have seen, a new female coming in, everyone have been very respective and very supportive and respectful towards uh, towards the participant, and they have actually encouraged each and every one of us. I have many friends who are interested in space exploration, and they joined after me, and I have actually only seen like getting support from these groups. And same goes for universities. I remember when I joined my university, in 2019, I actually formed my own astrobiology club at my university and started arranging different webinars and courses for the people who were interested in space education. So I remember my university chairman, he called me and he arranged a meeting with me, and he appreciated me so much that, the work that you're doing is absolutely amazing, and we need to highlight that, and we need to bring more change. And he said to me that we will do all the things that you want to, um, but we want
Yeah.
you to have a formal education in space. So I
Okay.
told them that I'm actually planning to get a master's degree, and I'm going to do that next year. I've actually secured funding for that, so I'm going to study astrobiology, and the institute has actually promised me that they will build a observatory at the university. The university where I've gotten my bachelor's degree from, they are very supportive of what I've done, and I think all the other people have experienced the same thing, um, and no discrimination from
Yeah.
the male dominant groups. And
Yes.
I have only seen like pure respect and support from them.
Interesting. Yeah, that one point you mentioned, that formal education requirement, I think it's even the same. I faced in India the same thing as well. Because geology as a subject, if you go to the layman, and ask them geology, the only thing they can tell is mining and oil and gas.
Yes.
But they don't really know the subject's application really go beyond the earth sciences.
Yes.
So, and I think, this is somewhere, I think this is the point where, I mean, the whole South Asia's education system need to little bit evolve and become much more flexible than what it has been traditionally, in that one ecosystem. I think the change will come as things proceed, as the talent pool develops, the new faces come in the industry, the new technologies take over. I hope so. The things proceed ahead and change, because I believe this creates a blockade for a lot of potential candidates. I mean, like, if I would have had a that kind of platform, I would have never left my country. I would have
Yes, that's true
possibly,
too.
stayed there.
Yes.
But unfortunately, there was nothing back then
Yes.
in India as well. Like, India was far behind in space. I mean, right now there are some developments going on, but at that time, back in 2015, back in 2013, and all, there was nothing. It was only just ISRO that was operating the things.
Yes. Yes. I
So
can
yeah,
actually totally relate to that.
yeah.
Uh, when I was actually planning to start my bachelor's degree and I really wanted to study geology, I went to a few departments that they were offering a degree in geology. And I remember going to an institute and asking them for to give me the admission form, and they said to me that we don't give admission to women candidates because
Oh
it
my God.
involves a lot of field work
Yeah.
and it requires you to travel a lot, and you won't probably get the permission for that. So we are not going to give you the admission form. And
Okay.
I was so disappointed. And I think that has changed now. And I'm not sure if it
Yeah.
was strictly, was a policy by the department. I think it was just the people and the mindset that people usually have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but I have never met a woman here who have done, any thing in geology major. So um, to have the pressure to have the formal education is just too intense. And it is actually one of the main reasons that I'm going for the master's next year. Otherwise, I don't really feel the need to go anywhere and keep doing the work that I'm doing, because I really want to stick to space education
Yes.
and work on much bigger projects. But unfortunately, if I want to work here, I need to follow some certain rules.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. You're right, and I agree with you about this. So yeah, a little bit, taking a step ahead. From your perspective, what are the potential economic, security, and scientific benefits of space technology developments for Pakistan? I mean, we briefly spoke about how space technology helps urban development, infrastructure management for the national economy as well. But specifically when it comes to Pakistan, because as I have a lot of friends in the space industry from Pakistan, they told me, like, there are metro infrastructures as well. So
Yes.
does the country uses satellite technology or the space technology in general for such infrastructures, both from economic, security, and the scientific point of view?
For the scientific point of view, I think there are many students, especially who are studying at the Space University in Islamabad. They do get to have the data from the satellites and write papers on that. But other than that, I'm not really familiar with any effort that is being done in order to bring that change. But if we really talk about, if we have proper infrastructure and enough funding, and a policy and a space policy within the country, I think it will help us greatly to change that in the future, in the near future. And as I said before, that there are actually two limiting factors. One is funding, and the other one is that we do have people who are actually have professional degrees and they are doing research work within the space industry, uh, but they are sadly they are living abroad because of the uh, limited opportunities here. So we need to bring such infrastructure, build such an infrastructure that help us to, you know, bring them back, and also bring more awareness among the people to do better and to create more awareness.
Yes, I believe this is a very, I would say, a big gap in several countries, even several developed countries as well. Uh, but I would like to just give an example to our audience. So, a country like Estonia, whose population is less than 10 million actually, and it's in the Baltic side of the Europe. That country, it's 100% digital country. Like in Asia we have Singapore, which is 100% digital country. Similarly in Europe we have Estonia. So Estonia doesn't have its own satellite, but it uses satellite application even for its local trams. And a lot of countries have been trying to replicate that kind of model, even the countries who have their own satellite. But it seems it's not very easy to manage for countries which have like huge population and all. But I believe hopefully in the coming years we might see such developments where satellite applications and in general any kind of space technology will be beneficial for the consumers, for the people, even when we are traveling through a public transport. So that I think if this kind of developments prevail, then definitely there will be much more investment in the space exploration as well going ahead. So yeah, I just wanted to make a note about this point. And yeah, from your perspective, Rabia, what are the challenges and obstacles that Pakistan face in pursuits of space education and technology development? We have spoken about the opportunities and the existing ecosystem that is there. But yeah, can you just briefly mention to us about the challenges and how experts like you in the science communication domain or any other space vertical are trying to possibly look towards these challenges and try to resolve them?
If you ask me, in my opinion, I think there are two major hurdles that we face. One is we don't have enough funding because we want to do research, and if we want to like launch different space programs and space missions, we need funding for that, and unfortunately we don't have that. And the second thing is the public interest. Although people are actually trying to change that, but if we talk about like how general public is well familiar with the even with the existing space program that we have at the moment, people have absolutely no idea about that. And to change that, as I mentioned before, that there are so many individuals and organizations, societies and clubs that are actively trying to change that. Um, and uh, and and to make the change, and I have these discussions with all the people who want to bring the change, and they are actively bringing that change every day by doing their part, by working on different space related projects, by doing collaboration with international universities and institute, and by if you asked me like 5 years ago that how many universities are actively talking about space related programs or space related topics, I would have said no, no, no university at all. But now I can actually think of so many universities that have societies and clubs and people there, especially students. They are making an effort, an active change to shift the interest as well. So I think we are on the right path if we will keep doing what we are doing at the moment, all of us, collectively or individually. We will eventually get there and we will be able to overcome these hurdles. And I know so many people personally who have always wanted to build their own institutes, space related institute where people can come and do research. We don't have the equipment for the research. We don't have the enough funding for the research. We don't have the experts for people. And I will give you my own example. I'm interested in origin of life, and and I want to do research on that. And for that, I really want to understand the geological processes and how life became possible on Earth. But I haven't met anyone here in Pakistan who could actually help me to understand that better. So that really helped us to understand that where do we stand when it comes to, really these peak developments that we need to see. And if you ask me, like, what kind of changes I'm bringing to the table in order to really make the change. I try to engage with experts who are doing the research, and I would interview them, and I would write about it, and I would share it with the. When I was in university, I used to share it with the students there that okay, this is how you do the science communication part, or to understand a topic, and these are the different equipment that we can potentially use and have it at our own institute if you are interested in the research. So I think we are on the right path, all of us, all the people who are making little to big effort in order to bring that change. And if we talk about hurdles, there are so many of them. I've only mentioned two, but these things do exist. And if we overcome them, I think we will be able to get to that point where Pakistan will have a very active space program and a very active space community as well.
Yes, definitely. As always, I believe challenges and obstacles are always a first step to innovation.
Yes.
Because this such challenges, obstacles, always try to uh, bring the communities together, bring the talent together, and help innovate things. So one cannot exist without other. It's like that. So I think if there are challenges, then it means there is a progress happening. So I hope there is a very well progress that happens in the country, and with the kind of collaborations that you have mentioned that Pakistan is currently going through, uh, I believe we should see some more developments in the upstream space market in the country, that is on the satellite and the space exploration domain. So yeah, I think we are reaching the end of the podcast now. But yeah, this last question that I'm going to ask you, Rabia, it's not related to our topic, uh, but as I mentioned previously, there are a lot of students, researchers, and even people who are pursuing postdocs or even PhDs at the moment, uh, also listen to this podcast. So this question is specifically dedicated to them. And primarily, I would say you can answer this question, especially from the perspective of someone who is from the Asia, because I believe the amount of struggle that a lot of Asian students have to go through due to the lack of availability of the infrastructure, the education institutes, and several of I would say mentoring capabilities. It's that gap is very much larger as compared to US, Europe, and Australia. So you can answer this question in that manner specifically. So, what message would you like to share with student researchers and other stakeholders who are willing to participate and contribute in the space technology research studies?
Thank you for asking that question because I think it is actually one of the most favorite question for me because I really believe that how I approached my journey and how I took little steps towards towards my dream and what I wanted to do. I'm nowhere near it, but I'm actually satisfied that I'm on the right path. So for me, it started in 2012, I guess. I was about to give my first presentation on astrobiology, and I was at I think in my college at that time, and I actually reached out to a city scientist to ask a question about astrobiology. So I learned around that time that networking is actually very, very important. So you don't need to limit yourself. You don't need to feel sorry for yourself that okay, my country doesn't have this or we don't have this opportunity. You need to create opportunities for yourself. And that person was actually working on Cassini spacecraft at that time, and he used to write and answer all my questions during his commute time. And he connected with me with so many astrobiologists across the world that I'm very good friends with them. And one of them came to Pakistan in 2017, and I met him. So my point is to if you are interested in any research topic, if you're interested in anything, if you want to do a project, just reach out to people who you think might be able to help you. It doesn't matter if they live across the world, they will offer you help. There hasn't been even a single time that I sent an email and I didn't get the response or I was turned down that okay, we are unable to help you. So I learned this at I think very young age, and I'm very proud to say that I have built my own international network and very supportive people who help me whenever I need the help. I'm actually, as I mentioned, I don't have any formal education and no background in space education at all. But at the moment, I'm actually working with three different research institute and research scientists on different projects. One is related to seismology, one is related to astrobiology, and one is related to space psychology. So the thing is that you need to reach out to people and tell them that, okay, this is something that I'm interested in, and I don't have this opportunity in my own country, and I really want to learn about it. There are some people who are teaching me stuff so I can learn, and whenever I go out where I can find the equipment and stuff and do the research by myself, I can do that, in the respective country and come back and, teach people the same thing there. So I'm very proud of this strategy that I, came up for myself. And I think it's very important for the youngsters to always remember that space sector is actually very supportive, and it's actually full of very nice people as well. I think it's actually one of the best community out there to get help or and to get inspired as well.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you very much for the insights and the final message as well, Rabia. And we were really glad to have you on this episode. I hope the students, the researchers, and the industry experts who are the prime audience, I would say, of my podcast, take away a lot of key insights from this conversation. And I hope as the developments proceed, and as we see more and more thrust coming from Pakistan in terms of space developments, we would love to record one more episode, or a series of episodes with you in the future, for sure. And I hope that moment comes in, because that is a signal that there are good developments that are happening in the country. So yeah, thank you very much again, Rabia, for your time.
Thank you so much, Omkar. Thank you so much for having me.